Okay, and now for the more quiet portion of our program. I'm the prayer chaplain for today, and no matter what you're growing through, our prayer chaplain team wants to pray with you about it, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's hopeful. We'll want to pray with you, period. Seek one of us out after the service today. There's Charlotte. I'm here. Wally's here. You'll pray with everybody too, right? Okay. Nana, where's Nana? There she is. She's holding her hand up. Okay. So to be included on the prayer list, you can fill out a form and put it in the prayer box, which is in the back now, at that back table, before or after the service. Or you can use the link on our website to contact Silent Unity at Unity Village. Prayer works. So let's do it together now. I invite you to think of someone or something you'd like to send some love to as we pray together. And these people are on the prayer list, and we see them as whole, perfect, and complete. They just ask for additional praying. Theo and Dylan Rollo, Wanda Wilson, the Weaver family, Linda Cohen, and the Andrews family. Again, we see them whole, perfect, and complete. And now as we close our eyes, we see whatever it is we're hoping to manifest come to life. Let's feel what that would feel like. Think about what it is you want. Feel that. Feel that feeling of receipt of the gift from God. God always supplies. There's never anything that you ask for that isn't being worked on. See that gift coming your way. See whatever it is you're wanting for another person if you want something for someone in your life. See that coming to them. Hold that in your heart. That is faith. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. Isaiah 6:3. Let's hold that in our hearts as we close our eyes in the silence. And if you'll bring your awareness back into this space, I invite you to join me in knowing that God provides and that anything you ask for is coming to you. So behave as if you already have it. See it, believe it, know it, and so it is.
So I get to invite up our musicians. And I'll tell you, I think it was there's actually something to read, but about a year and a half ago, I went to see my friend Kim Zimmer, who won 4 Emmys playing Reva Shane on Guiding Light. And she was doing a play in Raleigh, and Krystin was in the play, and she sounded like an angel when she sang. And so then I Facebook stalked her. And then I learned her husband sang too. And so then they came. So now the official thing to read says, Krystin and Oren Bailey are a married music duo from Raleigh. They met playing music together 6 years ago and have been singing together ever since. So please welcome Krystin and Oren.
when you're weary and feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side when times get rough and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down when you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part when darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. I will lay me down. Sit on silver gold, sit on by.
Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. Oh, if you need a friend, I'm sailing right behind, like a bridge over troubled water. I will ease your mind, like a bridge over troubled water. I will ease your mind. I will ease your mind.
That is exactly what we're talking about today, really, is just finding that way to ease our mind and to use, find our own tools of that really works for us. And I can tell you what works for me, and some of it you may find useful, and then you may be like, no, that didn't get me there at all. Let me think about this other thing, right? And so you have to just kind of play around and like build your toolbox of what do I wish to think about when I feel like I could really use some more peace in my experience right now. And so today's lesson is called The Inception of Peace. And what we're looking at all 4 Sundays this month are the 4 pieces of the Christmas Advent, because while we don't have any Christmas trees or Christmas decorations up, we still have the celebration of the Christ, not Jesus the man, but the Christ that Jesus came to teach us about using in our own lives, which is the partnership of the non-physical, spiritual God and the very physical beings that we exist in our human experience. And so Christ looks different from one person to the next in a way, in that way, because we're not talking like the principle of God, which is unchanging, right? We're talking about the partnership of the God energy, the God spirit with our human experience. And so it's up to us to bring that in, to give birth to that. And that is a daily occurrence, not every 9 months, right? That it's sometimes a hourly occurrence. It might even be a minute by minute occurrence, right? But the important part is that when we recognize that it is ours to give birth to whenever we decide, and that we don't have to wait to get induced by somebody else. We don't have to go, to all these other appointments, though sometimes like going to a prayer partner or someone to help us get centered is very helpful. It's middle of the night, can't get a hold of anybody. You can go onto YouTube and pull up a video for a meditation to sit in quiet and go through that, or if you need somebody to really talk you through it, you can put in, Abraham Hicks is one of the teachers I really enjoy. You can type in Abraham Hicks, fill in the blank of whatever's going on, and get a talk about that. And I'm sure that there are many others. You can call Silent Unity for prayer in the middle of the night too. That is true. And you can text them as well. And that's a nice thing that they offer in the U.S. that they do not offer in the UK. The Silent Unity is open 9:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday because they don't have paid people doing it. So maybe that will change in the next year. We'll see. But we're looking at not just peace, not just what is peace, not just how do I use peace once I get it, but what is the inception of peace, because it is our personal responsibility to get that, right? So the description for today says, unity teaches that peace is the harmony and tranquility derived from the awareness of the Christ consciousness, meaning that there is harmony and tranquility available to us all the time, but the way we get to the marriage of those two and what we call peace comes through the consciousness, the awareness of the Christ consciousness in us, and like turning the meaning that's when we sit down and say, okay, let me go for some affirmations. Let me just focus on my breath for a moment. Let me set out to intentionally, right, create peace in this moment for me. So when we look at a song like what we're singing as our call to worship this month, I've had it brought up to me, and I agree. At some point, you got to move from saying we shall be free to saying I am free, right? I don't have that song right now, but in order to get to the place to say I am free and really mean it, like you start with the we shall be. We start by claiming what we're calling forward, right? In the same way that last week we talked about hope as the first of those 4 parts of Advent. You start with the hope, and then you build into the faith of claiming it to be true. So it's the way that we use our imagination, which is one of the 12 powers that we celebrate. We start by thinking about, well, what might that look like? I really want a new home. What would I want in the new home that I don't have in the one that I have now? Oh, I want a different kind of neighborhood. Or I sure could use one more room, right? I learned that, many New Yorkers have a recurring dream that they discover an extra room in their apartments because they're all so small. I learned that it was, like I had that dream, and I lived in New Jersey, so my apartment was already bigger than most New Yorkers, right? But I mentioned it to one of my cousins who lived there for years, and she's like, oh yeah, I had those dreams too. Most New Yorkers have those dreams. Like, in my case, it was a dining room with a fireplace. Probably would be smarter to try and dream up an extra bedroom, but, so we could bring in another roommate to help pay the rent. But, right, but it starts by using the imagination and being like, what might that look like? What do I feel like I'm asking for different or more of than what I already have. Let me use my imagination on that. Now let me use my hope to start really claiming that. Now let me remove resistance from it. So that's where I need the peace, right? I was talking, when I was over in England, I was talking with their current minister, Kimmery is her name, and she was talking about, dreaming. I think it was after her father had passed away, and she had a dream where he was visiting with her. And the second she had the realization that she was talking to her father who had passed on, she got sad in the dream, and he disappeared. I had that exact same dream with my father. I'm having this, we're sitting, we're visiting, we're talking, and then the realization comes in the dream that he's gone on, and I start crying in the dream, and boom, he disappears. And what we talked about in that was that there's the resistance, right? Like when the belief, and certainly what we teach in unity, is that when we make that transition, when we shift back to the non-physical, we release all the restrictions and the all the negative feeling stuff, because we go back into the great expansion. My friend Grace, they had her celebration of life service out in Santa Cruz yesterday, and she kept telling people, she said, well, I'm going to be here until I'm not having fun anymore. And on a Thursday morning or afternoon, she said to a minister, she said, I'm not having fun anymore. And he said, well, you know what to do. And before sunrise Friday morning, she had made her transition. But he also talked to her, he said, so, if that feels true for you, like, what are you thinking about that? How does that feel to you? And she said, I can't wait to feel what it will be like to expand into the greater consciousness, to expand into that space of true unlimitedness in a way that, you no longer have to just believe that it's true, even though often the human experience would be like, well, let me give you some limits, and right, but like to just be in that place. And so it's easier, I think, in that moment. When you relieve yourself of the body, you relieve yourself of all the human conditions that get attached to that. But it's important to know that we're connected to that truth all the time. We just have to find our way to release the resistance of it, right? So I read part of the definition, but I'm going to read you a more full definition on peace in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. It says, harmony and tranquility derived from awareness of the Christ consciousness. Then it quotes the Bible verse from John 14:27 that says, peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. And then it says, steadfast affirmations of peace will harmonize the whole body structure and open the way to attainment of health conditions in mind and body. Now, at some other point when I talked about peace, the note that I'd put in on that lesson was, peace is the freedom from disturbance. So when we get to that place of harmony and tranquility, we have freed ourselves from disturbance in that moment. So that's where meditation gets us into that place, so that we can touch it and we can feel it. And then we can come out of the meditation and use it, right? But you can't use something you don't have, right? You ever been ready to go and you need to go and you can't find your keys, right? So not go anywhere in that car until you get this done, right? So if you're in a place of disturbance, you're not getting to the other side of it until you go get the keys known as peace, right? And we get there by at least using some affirmations. Like maybe it's just like when you're like, I really need those keys because I'm about to be late. It's like, I really need to release this because I've got some stuff to do. It can be as simple as the deep breath prayer that I've talked about often, like the let me just remind myself that I'm one with God. and I'm one with all people, and that makes me one with all life because I'm one with the one, and that one is moving forward with me into this meeting that I insist on removing disturbance in my thoughts from, right? Let me just take that moment, and then I move forward into that. There was a note, I don't know where this note came from, but it says, the Bible emphasizes that the source of true peace is God, with Jesus as our way shower, showing us how to use our Christ mind. So I believe that was Jesus' full purpose of coming in human form, was as teacher to teach us how to use our own God mind, our own God self. So that it's not only true to say that I am one with God, that sounds like I'm talking about a separate entity, that I am God. In the same way that when I go to North Myrtle Beach and I say, there's the ocean, well, that's not the entire ocean. It's just the part of it I can see from wherever I'm standing, right? So if I encourage you, and I am, to say, I am God, I'm not saying that you are the entirety of the whole thing. I'm saying let's take the time to acknowledge the truth of our very foundation. Everything that have grown out of the lives that we are living started from just that little mustard seed truth of God. And that's where the life came that grew it. That's my belief. And so in that moment, then you can say, well, I don't have to sit down and be like, oh, you don't have to go into those traditional thoughts of, well, I've been so bad and I've said all this stuff and I've acted up. Like, God's not going to give me any mind right now. God is always giving us mind because we are one with that, right? And so that energy is always available to us, and that energy never forces its way in, because we have this little thing that is sometimes a great asset and often a challenge called free will, right? So when, people say, oh, well, you do that church stuff, you believe in God. Well, then why'd God let these bad things happen? Well, because it turns out God's not a liar. And God gave us free will, which means that even when people do things that we would label as bad, right, that's just the different way that we're going to grow through this lesson. That often, unfortunately, as part of the human condition, that usually it's going through some stuff, right, that we get to the new lesson, the new realization of what we can use. Another lady that spoke at my friend Grace's service yesterday said that she went to Grace for counsel at some point. Grace was a religious science minister, and she was talking about some bad decisions she had made, this woman that went to Grace. And she said, Grace is like, sweetie, that's good. It's fine. We get our greatest lessons, we get our greatest growth from bad decisions. Right? So let's not beat ourselves up over the bad decision. Let's not stay in it in purpose once we recognize that we've made a bad decision. We just because you did it doesn't mean you got to stay in it, right? But it also isn't helpful to beat ourselves up over it. It's like, okay, let me get what lesson I can get out of this. And when we recognize, oh, this is a repeated thing, why am I doing this again? Well, because the better question is, what else do I need to learn so I can truly release this repeated activity, right? Because I know that at my very core, all that is good is what I'm connected to. Now, the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary also has a definition for peacemaker, meaning, okay, so we know what peace is. Now, how do we make it? And the definition says, one who has the ability to say peace to the turbulent waves of thought and have them obey. A peacemaker is one who reduces to peace and harmony all the thoughts of strife, anger, and retaliation in his own mind, hers too. The ability to say peace to thoughts and have them obey entitles people to that sonship of God. We're not talking gender, we're talking that connection, that childship, right? To the Most High. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. S-U-Ns, I like to say, of God, right? So, because that's, if that's all you're offering out is peace, like you're connected directly to spirit, like that's the direct source coming straight in on that, right? So when you look at a story, one of my favorite metaphysical stories, and was the first one I ever taught in a Unity church, was the Palm Sunday story. And that turns out, when you break out the Bible metaphysics of it, is teaching us how we go into peace, because the travel into Jerusalem metaphysically is the place of habitation of peace. That is where peace resides. So do I just say, okay, I'm having a bad day, peace, okay, I'm good now, right? Probably not. Practice it enough, you can probably get there and say, peace. Like, you probably don't want to do the throwaway peace. You probably want to really mean it, right? But you can get there. But most of us will, by the time we recognize we're in it or in need of it, right, we've already been caught up in a story. Like, oh, did you see what she did to me? Did you see what he said? You know, would you hear what he said about me, right? And you get into the story of it. Now you got to release the story. You can't just say, oh, peace. No, you got to release what you've put in your thoughts. And as it gets from your thoughts, you can start feeling it in your body. So there's a releasing time. And what we learn from the story of Palm Sunday is they stopped, right? They stopped to rest in the evening time, right? When there was darkness around, they stopped. And then Jesus sent a couple of the disciples, right, our spiritual powers, and said, go get me a donkey and a colt, right? And then they brought them back. And the next morning, they put a blanket on them, which is the taming of the wild, right? And it's like, well, I ain't got any wild in me. We all do. In the human condition part, in the ego-driven part, is the wild. And the good news is we have power and dominion over all that stuff. But we have to stop and say, I'm taking control here. Let me throw a blanket on you to let you know I'm riding this human experience. You're not going to run wild and kick your way through. I'm taking control of this moment by simply claiming it. And when I do that now, I'm ready to move forward into peace. Now, in that story, it took all night long into the next day. We may have some times where we have to kind of work on it for days at a time, right? But it can be as simple as like, okay, let me take this moment. My night is I'm having a negative feeling of a thought of something that's going on, right? So let me just take time and stop. Let me stop feeding these thoughts. By continuing to think about them, I am giving it energetic fertilizer and not only allowing it to stay around, I'm feeding it so it'll grow. And now I recognize that I'm doing that. So the good news is I can stop. And I can breathe. And I can recognize I am taking dominion over my thoughts because I'm in charge of them. And now I can breathe my way into peace. So what I would like to close with today is something that I do occasionally, but not very often. You know, I'll say, Charlotte and I've had great conversations about shadow work, right? I think it's actually very important. And I think you have to be really careful when you do it, because there's a danger of getting into the shadows, meaning, you know, what challenges, what am I carrying around that keeps holding negative belief to this, right? And then there's a tendency to want to then get into it and dissect it and say, well, what was it, right? Like there's that human condition of it. But then you're in danger of spending too much time with the shadow instead of just acknowledging the shadow so you can get back to working on the light, right? So I'm going to invite you for a moment to think of a shadow, to think of something that has been bothering you recently so that it's fresh, right? Something that you're concerned about. You can be mad about it. You can be concerned about it. Just something that you've got an emotion that you don't particularly care for in it. But we're going to then do the peace of releasing and getting to the peace of it. So I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable, to think about whatever that one challenging thing has been, is, to acknowledge it, to pay attention to where that may feel in your body and what that feel may feel like in your body. And then just say, thank you. Thank you. I know that this emotion that's been coming up is simply an attempt to feel protected. And I'm going to take this moment to acknowledge that I am one with God, so I'm already protected. That I'm one with God. And I'm going to take a moment to think of what God means to me in visible ways. I'm going to think of a beautiful sunrise that I saw at some point. And I see that God is connected to that. I'm going to think of a beautiful waterfall that I have been to and how it felt to just be in the magnificence of that. And I recognize that I'm connected to God in that moment. I'm going to think of the person that when I think of them, I always think of their laughter so that I can hear their laughter right now. And the sound of that laughter is God. And when I think about it, I connect to it. In all these places, I am connecting to the truth of my Christ consciousness, of the God part of me actively being in my consciousness now. That's the Christ. I am the Christ. I am connected to the Christ. The Christ is connected to the activities that I'm working on. And what I used to have the negative feeling about, I acknowledge now that it is already all right. That the answer is available. And when I stop thinking about the negative part and allow myself to accept that it is already all right, I've arrived at peace. I am at peace. I am at peace. And so it is. Feels good, hopefully. Gives a tool to work on. The last thing I'll say is the other famous verse is peace be still, right? And I think that in modern day language, it's missing some words. It's peace will come when I make myself still, right? Like I have to still myself and allow the peace to roll through, right? It sounds like in modern day language you're saying, peace, you be still, right? And it's like telling us, our minds, our thoughts, be still. Not stop thinking, right? It's find something meaningless to think on so that we can release, right, whatever that's holding back, right, that's feeding the other. And find, like often in the meditation, if you don't have something else to hear that's just monotonous, you can then just be breathe in, breathe out. Or, I picked up and on those I say, God is, I am. And that's all I allow myself to think about. So I've released the resistance of the other and gone into that space. When we get there, we have that to use. And then we're working in where we want to be. And we're serving ourselves and others instead of feeding ego. That's what we want to release to get to peace. I love you, I bless you, and I behold the Christ that absolutely is you. So now is our time to give our love offerings and our tithes, and many of us do that electronically and have those scheduled. We're still reminding people that January 1st we switched over, so if you did that electronically, I invite you to check your credit card statements to find out whether those payments have happened since January, because we're on a new system now called Tithely, and you can click on the donate button on the website for that as well. And as gifts come around the room, let us acknowledge that it is all the room gifts and the electronic ones all come together and they're pressed down and multiplied for the good work that we do together. So let's do the whole thank you song today. Thank you, God, for everything. 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 Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, God, for everything. 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 And sending out towards our gifts and our church workers and volunteers and all of that, let us all say together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful. And so it is. I thought maybe the tree would be gone and Maria would be here by now, but she's not. So let me give you some announcements that I didn't look over all that well because I didn't think I was giving them. So first is a reminder, I don't see any first-time visitors, but do make sure that whether you're first time or whatever, that we have your information so that you get the e-blast, so that you know what's going on, so that we have a way to be connected to you and you have a way to be connected to us. And if you can think of, if you're a long-time person and you can think of someone that you'd like to share more about who we are and why you think they would like us, ask an usher for one of the visitor packets and take it to them because it's got all kinds of information in it on that. Well, we have the information somewhere, so we will get it out. I'm told that we don't have visitor packets. That must be corrected immediately. The next is an update on this current space and the new home. I don't know a lot directly. I do know, and Dan may be able to add to this, that the inspection of the Lee's Chapel place took place this week, and it's my understanding that they found some minor things, but nothing major, so that helped move that process along. And I know that there is communication still with Bank of Oak Ridge, who's working on the mortgage and that sort of thing. So it's my understanding that the goal is that if everything continues running smoothly, that this church will be there by the end of August or by the 1st of September. So good news there. And hopefully they'll know about the end of August in time to, because we will have to give a month's notice here when we move from here to there. But it could be good, too, to also, if it ends up pushing over some, that we got time to slowly move instead of, do the big heavy lifting on that. So on the weekend of August 8th and 9th, Unity Minister Therese Lee from Charleston will be up, and she is going to offer a workshop called, I'm looking now, it's probably there for you all. Yes, Embracing Change, Opening Your Heart. And so, Therese got to this information through first becoming a certified grief counselor. But this isn't necessarily, somebody doesn't have to die for you to experience grief. You can change jobs or, break up with a love interest, or, in all these different, just have change, move, and you're happy about where you're moving to, and yet you're still sad about what you've left, right? And so in there, it's about embracing the change and releasing the negative feelings of the past so that it can be all the good it was or has been, and we're moving forward into. And so Therese is really, really great at all of that stuff. So she'll be offering a workshop, and this workshop has been paid for in full by an anonymous donor. So it's free for everyone, although I do think we'll be setting up that we do need people to register so that she knows how many to prepare for. I highly, highly encourage you all to be here so that you can connect. There's been a feeling of some splitting within, so this is a real chance of connecting and bonding together and letting different opinions still be different, because that's why we're all here instead of just one of us, because all the differences are good when we allow it to be. And so come together on that on the 8th, and then after service on the 9th, where she'll be the guest speaker, she'll finish up with that. So please, all of you come, but also invite and really encourage others to be here as well for that. And then the following weekend, which is, I don't see the date on here, but whatever, 16, yeah. I was going to say, just add 7 to 9. So on the 16th, Frederick will be offering another of the Listen, Listen, Listen to Your Heart Song workshops. And let's see if it's hard to read. Let me take my glasses off. That might be easier. Let's see what it says here. So on the 16th, after service, entitled Power Up, it's a new look at the 12 powers. They are the unity's divine ideas that we all possess: love, wisdom, power, imagination, faith, zeal, strength, understanding, will, life, release, and order. This class will be an interactive approach to learn more about how we can maximize our gifts to have a joyous life when we become more aware of how to use them. A link to register for the class can be found in the Tuesday e-blast and on the website. And as a reminder, please find a chaplain and pray about something today. You don't have to have a problem to want to pray with somebody. You can just celebrate some good truths about yourself, about someone you're so happy for and love, or about something that you're working through. So there's myself, there's Anita, there's Charlotte, there's Nana, there's John. I think we should all start with Nana, frankly. But, but all of it, yeah. So, use this time to connect with peace so that you can use it. And with that, I will invite Krystin and Oren back up to bless us with more music.
I might have spent 6 months lying on my living room floor. I might have been sick, then well, then sick some more. I might be proud of me, prouder than I ever have been. I've been learning about letting go, how to do it without my claws scratching the surfaces. I've been learning about wasting time and closing some doors, hoping to open more down the line. Ooh. From miles away that I would detonate. I tried some magic tricks to skip my fate. Then I gave up the ball as a defender. The trick was simply to surrender. I've been learning about letting go, how to do it without my clothes scratching the surfaces. I've been learning about wasting time and closing some doors, hoping to open more down the line. It's okay, make mistakes, make mistakes. It's okay, 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 it's okay, make mistakes. I've been learning about letting go, how to do it without my clothes scratching the surfaces. I've been learning about wasting time and closing some doors, hoping to open more down the line.
Fantastic. And exactly what we had just been talking about. Make the mistakes. It's okay. Like, let the mistakes grow you into the next greater you. So next week, we will be looking at the becoming of joy. And our musician will be the Reverend Tanya Ross. Will be here to deliver the music. So please come and join us for that. And so now is our time to sing the peace song. I invite you to stand up and hold hands if you would like. And if you'd rather not for any reason, you can hold those prayerfully in the air. The aisle seems to work well for that. And I thought you were sending me lyrics to the peace song that I never remember. Well, that's an interesting choice.
Can I
Okay, I'm going to get on this side so I can see the lyrics. Okay.
Can I make a quick? Can I mention something?
Sure.
I've been in the last year putting together a little rock and roll band, and we're going to make our first public appearance this coming Wednesday at Common Grounds. So if anyone has got a free evening and want to come check us out, we'd love to have you. It's on South Elam Street. Thank you. 8 o'clock.
Awesome. And we will make sure that you email us that today so that we can get it in the blast to go out on
Okay,
Tuesday.
great. Sure.
Awesome. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace, eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And together let us affirm, the light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, love is, peace is, light is, God is, and all is well. Have a great week on purpose, everybody.